Thank you, Charlotte.
No worries.
I'll go straight on and introduce our first speaker, who is Mr. Rob Oakley. Rob is a sportsman. Rob is an all-round, high-achieving sportsman. I actually Googled him this morning, and he's represented Australia as a Paralympian equestrian, the competitive water skier. He completed an 800-kilometre bike ride and finished in the top 10. Am I right?
Oh, it wasn't a competitive race.
Oh, come
yeah,
on.
Probably top 10.
And he's a champion of the benefits of exercise. So welcome, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, look, thanks everyone for coming along, and I'm really happy to be here and talk to you about a few of the things that we're doing down in Canberra. I'm based in Canberra. I'm part of a small group called Capital Region Muscular Dystrophy. We've been in existence in one form or another for about 5 years now. We're a group of people that have got some sort of experience with muscular dystrophy. I suppose it's probably the way New South Wales muscular dystrophy started some time ago, I presume. And certainly New South Wales has provided us a lot of assistance, so we're really pleased to work with them and to be part of the group. We're a voluntary group. We're not a big group. We can't raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so we're not going to end up supporting a lot of research. What we thought we'd do is we'd focus on making everyday life a little bit better for people with muscular dystrophy, whatever it might be. So I mean, we're not experts on it by any means. I mean, I kind of know about myself, but after that, I'm no good. So what our motto is that we'll have a crack, and if we can work something out for you, that'll be great. We're sort of pretty much willing to try anything, but really it just comes back to everyday life. And what I'm particularly here to talk to you about today is something that has come out of some of my sporting experiences. And yeah, I mean, we've been able to develop a pretty good program through that. I suppose it all, if I talk about me a little bit, it's my favourite topic. I mean, I sort of, like I'm 50-something, so I was sort of brought up quite a while ago, and, in our family, muscular dystrophy, FSHD is what I've got, was there, but it was never discussed and never talked about, and as a kid I never really gave it much thought, except that I just was a little bit skinnier than most of the other kids. Grew up in a normal group of kids, played footy, did all the things, did some water skiing, as you'll see, and there was never really any excuses. So I don't know, I was just a competitive kid, just having to go like anybody else. And I suppose that's any kid. But it was really just everyday life for me. So I suppose over time, I grew to have a love of horses, and I was lucky enough to be actually a pretty good horse rider. So I became a semi-professional, let's call it, dressage rider in Australia in the able-bodied ranks, as you'd like to call them. And did that for about 10 years and had a pretty good time. That's my black stallion there. Your dressage career is not complete if you haven't ridden at least one black stallion, apparently. So I've ticked that box. But that was me. I was actually warming up that day for to compete in Prix St George, it's called, which was I was the first Australian para-equestrian of any level or any disability or whatever to compete able-bodied at that level, so that was something pretty cool at the time. And then over time, I focused on the paras, and eventually we got there. It took quite a while, but that was London, and it was a great experience. It's a very challenging experience, but it's really what the work we did to get there was the most important thing as far as I was concerned. I'll show this photo just to have a bit of fun. I can actually talk to a policeman without being arrested. And the lady next to me is the Australian team physio. And she was reluctant to come on board with the sort of work we were doing, I'll say. And I think she must have said to me, for God's sake, be careful, at least 1,000 times. But on the journey to the Paralympics, I was very lucky to meet a lot of people. I trained with the ACT Academy of Sport and the Australian Institute of Sport, and trained with a lot of people that well, they don't take excuses, and they don't listen to people like me when I say, well, I've got no muscles, so there's no point in doing any extra training. I'll just ride horses. And that's rubbish. I can still remember the day that I said, all right, I'll meet this strength and conditioning guy at the pool. And we'll go and we'll have a talk, and I'll convince him that there's no point in me doing this, and we'll go away and everybody will be happy. And he more or less picked me up, threw me in the pool and said, get in there and make a start. And look, honestly, that was the best thing that he could have done, because it opened my eyes to what was possible, and we just haven't looked back since then. It was really all about sort of no excuses, I suppose. So, I mean, as we went on our way, to the Paralympics, the training that we did evolved. If you think about going to a gym, where you often think about, big, strong guys that pick up big pieces of metal and put them down again and get bigger and bigger, which is, that's not me. Look at me, I'm 6.5 stone wringing wet. But what we discovered was that training was not so much to sort of be a better horse rider, just to improve my daily movements. And I hear myself saying that, and I think, well, that's just a no-brainer. Of course, that's what you do. But at the time, it seemed quite amazing. And I know I've spoken to plenty of doctors since that still go, oh, you sure that's right? But I mean, we really just discovered that if we can find ways to improve my patterns of movement, not only do I function better on a daily basis, but I'm also a better horse rider. And this is something that we just evolved over time. It's almost like if you put yourself in a plane of movement. I've got a picture of me rowing in a minute in a boat, in a rowing scull. If you lock yourself into this plane of movement where your arms and legs have to go where there's only one place for them to go. It's like riding a bike. There's only one place for your legs to go. I haven't really got a lot of leg muscles, but as I said, I've done an 800-kilometre bike ride. It was the New South Wales Tour de Shan, actually, because your brain just seems to be able to work it out after a while. I can't explain that, but we just seem to be able to find a way to make it happen. It can take a lot of time to do this sort of thing, and I suppose for me as an athlete, I wasn't thinking about, in 5 years' time I'll be standing in front of a group of people and telling them about how we've got a program going based on exercise. All I was thinking about was I want to be a better rider, so I'll just do whatever it takes. And so sometimes it takes a long time. It took me a long time to be able to squat without hanging onto something, probably 12 months. It took me 12 months to learn how to use one of those elliptical cross trainers, and I still seem to be able to use one of those. So it takes a very long time to do those sorts of things. So progress is slow, and you need to be patient. But I think it's mainly about attitude. When you walk in the door of the gym, for me now, I understand when I walk in the door of the gym what I'm doing there, how to do it, and I'm not really sort of intimidated or worried about what anybody else is thinking, and that I can't pick up 120 kilos or whatever it is just, it's irrelevant, because I know what I'm doing there. I suppose it was when I left the Paras that I retired after London and moved on to other things. I suffered very quickly from athlete relevance deprivation syndrome. So I went searching around for other things to do. We did the Tour de Shan, which was a great thing, and you can see it's one of those let's just find a way to do something things where I've got it's a normal bike but with 2 rear wheels, and a few other little bits and pieces to help you along the way. And there's also a picture of me rowing there as well. And as you can see, I mean, they're 2 examples of putting yourself in a plane of fixed movement, and then having to find a way to do it. I mean, with the rowing, it's quite simple. You either find a way to do it or you'll fall out of the boat. And so, I mean, I haven't fallen out too often. But really, the exercises that I was doing and the work that I was doing, I sort of just carried on after the Paralympics, and it really opened up those sorts of avenues for me. So, I mean, one of the great things that I really enjoyed was, that 800-kilometre ride was fantastic. I love bike riding, and I got to spend a day riding with Brad McGee, who, don't know how many of you know, but he's a pretty famous bike rider in Australia, one of the leading guys. That was just awesome. I think even more awesome was that I occasionally get to go rowing with my daughter, who's a pretty good rower, and watch her go up through the school ranks and row as an adult, and so we can row together now. And that was something I never thought I'd be able to do. So, I mean, they're little things from this exercise it's just fantastic byproducts. But I suppose the main thing that I've done since I left the Paralympics is water skiing. And once again, it's a case of just finding a way. I can't stand on my legs anymore. So there's a whole disabled water ski division based around sit skis. And as it turns out, I can water ski a bit too. So, I mean, we could work through some of these things. But while I was, I got quite good at skiing again and approached some of the people that I trained with through the Paralympics, and they're now working at the University of Canberra to sort of try and hone in on some of that training and pick up where we left off. And so slowly but surely we started to develop a program based around water skiing, but it started to be, once again, something that was proving to be of much greater benefit than just the water skiing. But just to take you through how determined I am to be an idiot, this is the water skiing, tournament water skiing is 3 events. There's slalom, which you saw a minute ago. You go around the buoys as fast as you can. There's trick, which is really boring, but you have to do it if you want to be a 3-eventer. And then there's a jump, which is, we like to say the real men do the jump. So here am I. This is me approaching the jump. This is the last jump of the last day at the World Championships. I've just landed 2 successful jumps, and this is my 3rd one. Now, that you can go up in speed each time. Little did I know, I was doing 51 kilometres an hour now coming to the ramp. And I don't know if you can see the look on my face there, but I talk about overcoming the fear of things and just turning it into a process. And I'm convinced that that's what I did there. If you look into my eyes, maybe not. But at any rate, that's a 4-foot jump, and I had to jump about 16 metres, I think, to win the gold medal. I'm trying very hard, flying through the air, or maybe, I don't think, you've got to actually land it and ski away. Not to worry. But it all worked out okay, because that was good enough to get a bronze medal. So that was, and it was the first year that was the first year that Australia, we won the team gold medal too on the basis of our scores. That's the first time we'd ever done that, beaten the Americans and sent them home packing, so we were pretty happy about that. But look, that's really, the beginning of the story, I suppose, as far as I'm concerned, because what we've done is, with the University of Canberra, we've looked at all the training that we've done and the working on, as I keep saying, patterns of movement and how to develop them and put it into good effect with a program there. And I've got some leaflets outside. It's based around the exercise that we did, the program, the development we had. And it's very, a lot of low intensity, if you like, exercise, but focused on things like your core strength, your ability, I always say that the most important one, the ability to get a beer to the mouth, walking down the street, whatever it might be. So they're very similar exercises. In fact, sometimes they're exactly the same as anybody else would do, perhaps just not with so much weight. And you can see what we try and do is increase the complexity of the exercise as you become more adept at it. So you might not necessarily shift any more weight, but you might improve the complexity. So I mean, this one here, for instance, I started doing that exercise by standing up and just doing that. So, and then it was a case of going, okay, well, let's sit on the Swiss ball and try to do that, a bit more balance. All right, now close your eyes and sit on the Swiss ball. I don't know if you've ever done that, but that's hard. So I mean, we've worked through the sorts of things that we can do, and we've developed a program around that. It's an 8 to 10 week program for people that it's principally focused on FSHD, but adult onset forms of muscular dystrophy can all benefit from this, in our view anyway. As you can see, I'm just going to flick through some of the pictures we've got. So I mean, we're talking once again about the plane of exercise you can put yourself in. The Smith machine there is one of my favourites as well. You can see there's no weight on that bar at all. The one on the right hand side, yeah, the one on the right hand side. But that's really just to squat under the bar, and it's about it's as safe as you can get. As long as you can hang on to a bar, you cannot fall over. So you can go to the point of failure and fail, and then just recover and do it again if you want. Like it's up to you. It's all about calculated risks, I suppose. And when you walk into the gym, I mean, I was talking about it before. it's about attitude. You know, why would I be in a gym if I've got no muscles? Especially if I've been told by doctors, which I have, and I would presume a fair few of you probably have too, that, well, you've got muscular dystrophy, there's no cure, there's not much you can do about it, pretty much just, that's it. And you know, as far as we're concerned, that's not it. And this is what we're doing, but a lot of the program is about mindset and the way you approach these sorts of things. So it's actually okay to be in the gym and to do this. So, yeah, I mean, as I say, it's an 8 to 10 week program. Our first program's about 3 weeks in. We've got, in total, 10 people involved. And I guess it's a mix, which we expected. There's some people like me that would go twice if they could. And there's other people that we really need to push and say, come on now, you know, come in this week and do it. But nonetheless, the program's about halfway through. We look at 2 exercise classes a week based around a program designed specifically for you. So you come in at the beginning, we do an assessment of where you're at and what you might benefit from, and then design a program around that. In addition to that, we've got sessions that look at psychology again, dealing with anxiety and depression and things like that, and actually the mindset of training, dealing with diet. You know, it's one of my favourite things. I mean, I'm an athlete with a disability. Does that mean I use more carbohydrates than somebody that doesn't, or do I use less because I've got less muscles? I really don't know. And they're the sorts of things we're looking now to try and explore through the program. And there's a few other elements that we're looking at as well. It is being documented. It is like the beginning of our research project with the University of Canberra, and it's hopefully the first step we're going to take with the University of Canberra to develop a full-blown clinic in Canberra. We've got a couple of neurologists on board now, and that sort of thing is really starting to roll along. So you can see a couple more here. I mean, these are a couple of my favourite things. My best party trick is to drag the sled. As you've seen athletes, sprinters that like to drag a sled up and down the track as a bit of extra weight. Well, I do that too, and it's fantastic. It really is. It's sort of resistance that allows you to take the chances or take the risks that you can't take normally. It's hard to explain. You have to watch me do it. If we had a sled here, I'd do it for you. But the one on the right is an example of another way of doing that. I'm just hooked up to a weight machine there, so it's got a little bit of variable resistance, and it's just taking a step forward. And it's being a big exaggerated step to get your knee lift and whatnot. On the left, that's me using a TheraBand. It's a little yellow TheraBand. It's not a big weight. It's not anything. But what it's doing there is I'm working on core strength, and of course the all-important beer to the mouth exercise. You know, there's a number of things there that little exercise can do for you. And so once again, as I say, you've got an image of going to the gym, picking up big heavy weights and putting them down again. It's not at all like that. It's all about patterns of movement, and that's what you can focus on. So, I mean, that's our program. It concludes 2 weeks before December, and we'll hopefully be having another one early in the new year in the University of Canberra, and we'd like to sort of see it spread if we can, but I guess first of all is to document these results and let people know. I know, at the moment we've only got anecdotal sorts of things, but I guess one of the pleasing things as an example is someone that I really had to work hard to convince to come along to this program, and they use a big walker, and they're very dependent on it. And at the beginning, they would not leave it at the door. They would not leave it alone at all. 2 weeks later, without any prompting, just walked in, left the walker at the door, and started doing exercises all by themselves. So if that's any indication, then I think we're probably on the right track. I hope we're on the right track. But as I say, anyway, that's our program. It's come out of some exercises that we did. So I mean, I suppose that's the other thing to think about when people start saying, why do we fund sport? Well, this is a byproduct of why we fund sport. So that's pretty much our program. And as I say, it's all based around everyday life, and hopefully we can do a little bit to make it a bit better. So thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for me? We've got a mobile.
No, is that? Oh, we do.
I dig. necessarily for me, but like, can it be offered to people in remote areas, like if they get assessed by you and you give a program, because obviously they can't move to Canberra for
Well, I think,
that amount of time?
yeah, they're all the sorts of things we're looking at how we do. I suppose one of the things is our succession plan is, okay, at the end of the 8 weeks or the 10 weeks, what do you do? And so it's based around, the University of Canberra's got an exercise physiology degree, and that's the core group of people are doing that degree or doing their masters or so on going on. And so, yeah, I mean, we're looking at how we do that for them, is to say, all right, well, we can train up EPs to take groups, you know, whether it be in one of the Canberra suburbs or indeed remotely. And so, yeah, I mean, if you've got an exercise physiologist within QE of you, then it's possible to actually set this up and make it happen. Whether you've got to come in for an initial assessment.
That's what I'm saying, go to the initial assessment, get your program, but then have it
Yeah.
monitored, say from Newcastle University point of view.
Yeah, well, that's right. In fact, I've spoken to a couple of people at Newcastle University through the skiing about that very thing. So, I mean, yeah, that's something that we'd really like to do, because it's a no-brainer. There's no rocket science here. It's quite simple, really. And so, yeah, I mean, we'd like to see it, you know, spread throughout the place, yeah.
And we did the personal training thing for years, but I don't know that, do you know what I mean, the typical personal trainer is astute enough to understand what dystrophy affects.
I know the
Because
personal
too
training.
much exercise sometimes can be detrimental depending on your type.
Yeah.
And often they didn't know what direction to go in because they didn't understand it. Whereas if you were giving that leadership, then they can follow the program, monitor the program.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues there. But yeah, I mean, first of all, personal trainers. I mean, there's a whole range of personal trainers, and so, I mean, the right ones are really good though, and really quite interested. And in a sense, wherever I go, if I'm training, I can guarantee that somebody who is a personal trainer will at some point in that gym come up and go, "What are you doing?" and want to know all about it. So, I mean, they tend to float to the surface a little bit. The ones that are interested and the ones that are, you know, either have some knowledge already, which is pretty rare, or want to learn. And so, I mean, in terms of our succession plan, we're looking at bringing some of those people in from gyms that we know are good and are interested, and training them in what we're doing and the programs. And then, really, at the end of the day, they just need to be able to help the person do the program. That's all it is. And then, in terms of progress, yeah, I mean, that's something we can monitor as we go along. It is a bit of a moving feast, I'll give you that. You know, it's, I mean, 5 years ago it was a thought bubble, and now here it is, and we think, okay, well, we didn't think of that.
We can engage the physiotherapists as well.
Well,
to liaise between your program and trainers and just oversee. I think it's about confidence. As you said, the trainers often actually are fine and are on the right track. They just need that confidence that actually what they're doing is okay.
Yeah, I would think that the person with the least confidence is the doctor, the GPs and things like that. Oh, gee, I don't know about that. You know, oh, you sure about that?
I go through our physios, and the physios will then speak with the trainers. But still, then to have a program like yours as a paradigm is brilliant.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, as I say, I mean, literally the first trainer, and he trains the Wallabies now, so whatever they mightn't be able to do, fitness will not be a problem with them. I mean, he literally did throw me in the pool. I said, that is ridiculous. You are going to benefit from this. Get in there. And, I mean, that sort of thing. I won't pretend that I haven't fallen over and skinned my knee and you know, and bumped my head and stuff like that. I mean, but I guess that's the beauty of the program. I've made all the mistakes. So we kind of know, that's a bridge too far, you know, that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, each person, like with the physio and the EP and the doctors where they're needed, can shape the program for that particular person, that their level of fitness and whatnot, you know. Yeah.
Any other questions?
You mentioned that this is for people with anaerobic onset muscular dystrophy. Are there any who attend who are not able to benefit from the program, basically?
Well, I mean, that's a $64 question, isn't it? Anybody who attends this program and wants to benefit will benefit. I mean, that's the attitude. Like, you know, a couple of people have said to me, well, you want me to train like an athlete? I go, yes, I do want you to train like an athlete. I want you to approach this like an athlete when you come to this gym. I mean, you know, because you are an athlete in a sense. And I mean, you're training for something a little more important than a gold medal. You're training for, you know, your future mobility and independence, functional independence, the ability to be able to go to the shops or whatever it might be. They're all the things that are really important. So yeah, the beer.
So even if it's upper limb function, it still would be worthwhile, even if it's not for walking or mobility, even upper limb function would be worthwhile.
So
Yeah.
is there a bare minimum that you're able to stand then? Or?
No. No, I would say not at all. I mean, you know, in my view, if you can get to the gym, we can find a way. I mean, and like I say, you're not picking up big heavy weights. You're not doing things that are going to put you at risk. You're not out of your comfort. Well, you are out of your comfort zone because you're training, and you probably haven't trained before.
Yeah,
But
I understand the focus is on mobility and keeping what function you have without jeopardising it.
yeah, and I mean, FSHD is the thing I know about most. I mean, it's on a spectrum. So, you know, just because I'm, you know, the person next to me that's got FSHD and is the same age and everything might be quite different. So, yeah, I mean, the way you might train or what you might aim to do might be different. But I mean, in my case, my specific case, I've actually improved some of my function quite a lot, just simply through this sort of training. But it's not because it's because I mean, the technicalities of this I'm not good with. But what I do know is that, like, my brain, if I say to my brain, like the rowing picture, righto, we're in this boat, and I know that you can't do this, and I know you can't do that, but if we don't do something, we're going to fall out. And, you know, over 12 months, we worked out what to do. You know, we just did it a slightly different way. But, yeah. And as I say, so it might be slow, but it's that sort of progress. And the elliptical I was talking about, the cross trainers, you know, the ones where they've got the pedals at the bottom and the big thing at the top there, that did take me 12 months to have. I needed to get the courage to get on it because it does challenge your balance. But I mastered it and was quite good at it at the time of the Paralympics. So I've only just recently got one that I came across and got on it and could do it straight away. So not only that, I've developed muscle memory.